anyway, even without turnover at the top. Because again, you know, you can imagine you have whole bureaucracies sort of within that are forever in damage control, kind of not looking back, not doing much of a critical assessment as to what went wrong. The one thing the United States is great at is moving forward. We're not so good at the mea culpa within our own borders either, you know. But just to, if I could underscore your point, first of all, I agree with everything you said in Cambodia. Actually, I do have a chapter on Cambodia that looks at that period and the legacy of the Khmer Rouge and of U.S. foreign policy and how it gets sort of stuck, and how no administration comes back and unsticks it or but the counterexample, just to stay away from all doom and gloom, is President Clinton, and it's watching somebody with the opportunity, let's put it that way, of a second term, who actually got to learn on the job about a particular person who Elizabeth mentioned earlier, Slobodan Milosevic. Many of the alibis that were available to President Bush about how the negotiation process would eventually yield peace and how these were reliable partners and a sort of just an intrinsic trust that this was a reasonable man, and also an intrinsic human, American but human, inability to imagine evil of the scale that he was plotting. I mean, our image of evil, they're Nazis. You know, that's what they look like. Unfortunately, we know so much about the Holocaust. Fortunately and unfortunately. Fortunately, we know a lot about the Holocaust. Unfortunately, all of our knowledge now is the product of years and years of excavation, belated excavation. But we know them so well, and they're so evil, and it's so mechanized. When we see somebody living in our day, it doesn't look like that, and we don't know all that. And so it's very hard to sort of wrap our minds around it, and President Bush, one, didn't do it, President Clinton, one, didn't do it, but there came a point where it was just enough, both in seeing that the issue wouldn't go away, in seeing that Milosevic was a liar and couldn't be trusted, in seeing that evil could happen actually in the 1990s. It wasn't just something that happened in black and white. And I don't want to give President Clinton too much credit, but I do think he had, in addition to seeing how his interests were implicated, strategic in the case of Kosovo, domestic political in the case of Bosnia, I think he also learned something about a particular region and a particular set of individuals.
And yet, I mean, I'm